Hello everyone, I am Sunil Naik, co-founder and CEO of Group Technology Solutions. Over the last 20 years, we have had the opportunity to work with manufacturers across the world, from semiconductor, medical device, industrial manufacturing, and electronics. What we have seen over the years is we have started automating equipments for our customers, digitizing their operations, connecting IT and OT systems, integrating that with ERP. So now we are looking at the next evolution, and what we are beginning to see is as we are collecting data and also started observing things around us. So, and that's what Vision AI is. It is something that observes your environment and it understands what is going around and helps you improve your operational processes. So let's talk about applying AI vision and how it actually drives real manufacturing outcomes for today. Okay. Right. So before we begin, I would like to start with a question. How many of you really feel that your best quality inspector can really go and identify the defects at across every single product variant and across every shift and at every hour? I don't think anybody can confidently say yes. That's not because your quality inspectors are not skilled, right? It is basically because of the human limitation. And anything that a human is involved to do a repetitive task over and over again through the entire day, consistency becomes a problem, and there's a lot of variability and you see a lot of missed defects. So that is why I think AI vision is where you apply AI vision not to replace your inspectors, but actually you are giving a consistent set of eyes using AI for your quality inspectors. So that's the session is all about today. We are going to look at why you need AI vision on the shop floor, what is different with AI vision, right? And what are the best business cases that you can apply where you can get your return on investment. And post that, let's understand where do you start, right? Once you know what are your use cases that you've identified which can give you the ROI, we have to look at where do you start from, okay, and how do you scale. So let's begin the session today, and let's talk about why you need AI vision on the shop floor, right? Imagine you walking your shop floor, you come across your incoming quality inspector inspecting all the different parts that are coming from your global supply chain from different suppliers, right? It's so disruptive today. Whatever supplier is giving you today, tomorrow another supplier is supplying another variation of the same part, right? So then you walk down the path, you see an assembly operators assembling things based on the SOPs and the standard work instructions that are given to him. So he understands what he needs to do, but nobody is there for anyone to go and verify each and every assembly process step. You walk down the line, what are the sub-assemblies, right? There's somebody inspecting the outgoing quality checks even before it goes out of the door. So the one common denominator that you see here is everything is based on visual decisions, and that is made by humans. And that is where you cannot have consistency in your products that you deliver. And that is the reason you have AI vision, which is not replacing any of your operators or supervisors or quality inspectors. It is basically giving you consistency 24/7 with high accuracy, and it doesn't have any kind of fatigue or any kind of defects that gets passed through, right? And any kind of complex sub-assemblies or any kind of changes in variations with the components that get supplied, it can easily detect. And not only that, it's very difficult for you to scale humans who can be very consistent on the shop floor, but this is a system that can scale on your shop floor, right? So now let's look at what is different. Well, what is so different about AI vision, right? people think that having a smarter camera is what AI vision is, and that is a misconception. AI vision is something that a camera can take images, but the intelligence actually comes from the systems that has actually learned from actual production environment as to what is going on in the shop floor, right? In the traditional systems, what we have seen is everything is pre-configured. All the boundary conditions are predefined. And when that happens, for any kind of measurement, size, or color variations, or any kind of surface variations, anything that changes on the shop floor, your traditional systems have to be again reset for the current conditions. With the rapidly changing manufacturing conditions, it's very hard for the engineering to keep up with the pace, right? Compare that to the AI vision. AI vision is something that adapts to your manufacturing environment. It learns from your actual production processes, and it learns in real time and gives you the real confidence level for you to trust the AI system and be able to make the right decisions on the shop floor. Right? So that is what is the most important aspect of applying AI vision, and why you need to move away from your traditional systems and start enabling AI on your shop floor. So once we understand what is different and why you need them, so where do you start, right? Manufacturers actually make one mistake, that they often try to apply AI vision everywhere, and that's usually not the right approach, and that's why they are not successful. The moment they start realizing that they are not getting the ROI, then they kind of shove the whole idea and continue with the same traditional processes. What makes it different is for the business to really identify what are those areas that really bring in real performance improvements on your shop floor. As any manufacturer would expect, the highest thing that they want to do is improve their quality. Okay? So once you have improved your quality and the processes around it, you reduce the rework that is required. And once you have proper processes verified during your assembly processes, that's where you are building error-free operations, right? And the third one, the safety and compliance. It's not only the safety compliance requirements, but you are also building safer operations. So all these three are not independent, three different use cases. These are the foundational things for you to have better operations in your manufacturing organization. So they are the capabilities that actually strengthen your day-to-day manufacturing operations. So let's delve into each one of them and what it actually looks like. So again, back to our example of your best quality inspector, right? How many parts that he can actually go and inspect in a day across every shift? Now multiply that by multiple different product variants, by the different lines on your production floor across different shifts, right? Again, coming back to the same question, that every part that is coming in, every sub-assembly that you see, it may have a slight variation, and his decision is purely dependent on his judgment and his experience, whether it needs to go through or whether it needs to rework. So consistency becomes incredibly difficult here. So this is where exactly AI vision creates value. Okay, not because it is replacing your inspectors, but it is actually helping the inspectors have a standard quality across each time whenever the inspection is happening, right? So the AI is actually understanding from your real production processes. It understands what is a good part, what is a bad part, and how it actually understands what are the variations that comes through, and it completely starts avoiding, once it starts building the confidence levels, it starts avoiding any kind of false negatives, right? So it is not rejecting any good parts for any kind of variations that it sees on the floor, okay? So that purely changes your quality from being a reactive inspection to becoming a more proactive inspection. You're transitioning over to become a more proactive manufacturing organization with proper quality controls in place. Okay. So this is just not one part of manufacturing excellence. Let's look at the other one. While the quality actually reduces the number of rework, enforcing proper process verification actually reduces a lot of errors during the assembly process itself. So imagine this as a modern poke-yoke. You reduce the defects right at the place where it is going to start, right? So even if your sub-quality materials go pass through the different stages, you are actually preventing it even before it happens. So how do you do it? The assembly operators going through the multiple complex assembly processes, he is purely dependent on his SOPs and work instructions, right? And nobody is there for him to guide whether he is following the right process, whether he is following the right sequence, whether he is placing the components in the right positions and things like that. And what happens is, while he understands the work instructions, there's a lot of rework actually happening on the floor, right? And what this is doing is, it actually is impacting your throughput, right? Your cycle times. So this is where you have an AI vision assistant, which actually is not replacing the operator, but it is actually enforcing the processes that he is following the right process. So this significantly gives you a lot of improvement, reduction in scrap and reworks, and you have any kind of errors detected at the point of occurrence itself. Okay. And less dependency on the tribal knowledge. You see operators changing every day. There's high levels of attrition. Training is not sufficient, and that's where such a system will actually help you get across some of these challenges. So now that we have talked about what the assembly assistant is, let's look at a demo of the laptop assembly here. What you see on the screen is an operator actually scans the work order, and this is actually talking to your backend MES system. This is not a standalone single point solution. This is actually talking to the MES, bringing all the work instructions on the left side, right? And as you see on the middle of the screen, there's a camera guiding the operator through the process. So step one and step two, it is actually telling him where to pick the part and where exactly to position the part exactly in the right position. And it is actually validating him to giving him the message that he can proceed to the next step. So this is the most important part, wherein the operator is not using AI, but AI is actually assisting the operator here. This is a classic example where you are using AI to make the work life easier for your frontline workers. So here you will see there's a lot of possibilities that you can have. You can also use this as an operator training as well. Right? Before you deploy this into your production environment, you can also use this as an operator training platform. So moving on, now that we have seen quality and enabling the operators with the right assembly process, safety compliance become extremely important. Day by day, you see a lot of incidents because of the number of workforce that is required to keep up with the demands with high levels of product variants coming onto the shop floor. It is not possible for a safety inspector to be there in all the areas at all given point in time. So people believe that putting a camera is for surveillance reasons. It is not so. It is basically ensuring that your operators are working in a safer zone, right? It is not about an operator not wearing a helmet. Incidents can happen within seconds. So it is basically you apply such a system to avoid any incidents from happening in the first place. Okay. So once you have a safer working environment, you can, all of these three things, the business use cases that I talked about, these are the ones that from our experience that we have seen our manufacturing customers see a bigger return on value and applying AI vision in these areas. So now that we have understood where you can get your return on investment, now the question is how do you start, right? So it all starts with engineering discipline. Just like as you are doing right today, you are bringing in a new equipment and a process, a proper validation, a thorough validation before that process is really put into production needs to happen. So the validation process needs to take place. And there's a lot of validation processes that is clearly defined in your engineering. So with AI vision, before your validation, introducing a new system is the data capture, wherein the real production data is gathered. So this is extremely important, wherein you really feed it with the right amount of data, so that you get to higher levels of confidence level with the AI. The better data that you feed it with, you will have a better AI model. Training is the next important aspect of it. You train it with the real production data and test it out in real production environment before, as a pilot, even before it hits the floor. And that is done through the validation processes. Your right team needs to be enabled. You need to identify the right group of people, and that's where the continuous improvement and those things come in, wherein you, as the manufacturing processes change over a period of time, this is a continuous cycle, right? And that's why I call it as continuous improvement. You need to capture again the real production data, train it, validate, and bring it onto the production floor. So how do you start and how do you scale, right? So the many manufacturers, they start off it as an AI project, right? And that's where customers really fail. It has to be driven by business. They need to identify what is the best business case. Once you identify, go with a single line, a single pilot, and really see how much of business value actually it is driving to your manufacturing operations. Once you do that, and you can clearly see, you can demonstrate to the business in few weeks what is the business impact it has. And once you have that and all your engineering disciplines are put in place, you can standardize your deployment processes. The previous slide where I talked about the data training, validations, and production deployments, that can be streamlined, and once you have the right architecture in place, that is the time when you can standardize everything and start deploying across different lines, scale it to your multiple factories, and deploy it to your enterprise. And again, you need to have a centralized governance mechanism for you to accomplish this. And AI vision is AI project in general. It's not like a software project where you deploy once and forget it. It is a living asset. You need to keep enhancing it and bring in, as in when you bring in newer processes, it also needs to change and keep learning from your production environment. So that's what it leads to for you to become an autonomous manufacturing, and wherein your manufacturing operations from a manual becomes partially AI assisted, and then once you start accepting the decisions that it makes, then you go into semi-autonomous mode. And once you completely start relying on AI and you are the one who is making the right decisions, you rely on more on AI and become a self-optimizing, continuous, autonomous operation shop floor. So we at Dhruv, we've been providing digital transformation consulting and implementation services. We've been partners of Siemens. Over the last 20 years, we've been working with manufacturers across the globe. And we provide end-to-end digital transformation services. Ops Center MES is one of our core capabilities, and we integrate MES with the OT systems, equipments, PLCs, and SCADA systems. Integration with ERP and driving the decision making through analytics is some of our core capabilities. Now we are going through the next evolution of implementing AI for our customers. So if today's discussion has sparked any ideas for your own factories, please do visit our booth and we'll be happy to continue our conversation there. And if you're interested in any of the other areas of our service offerings, we'll be happy to discuss those as well. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, the time's up there's no questions. Can I take few questions? Excuse me. No?
It's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, we'll meet at the booth. Thank you.